So my mother always tells me that I don't wrap my head properly. I wear a very unprofessional turban and it's so messy and I can never tell why. And now I can see what she means. But we're not here to talk about my mom or my mommy issues. We're here to talk about my dad and my daddy issues. My father is the very first person in my entire bloodline to go to university, probably the first person to even pass high school. And he got a master's degree. He got a master's degree from the University of Jaipur in Rajasthan, and then he was instantly thrusted across the pond to Toronto, where he used his magical education to become a cab driver. Now, it would have taken him a couple of years and a lot of money that he didn't have to convert that education to make it North American certified or whatever else they said, because they didn't recognize the education the way it was. And the one thing that he always stressed to me and my sisters was, education is the most important thing. And the way he said it to me when I was 6 years old was, you'll always be welcome in this house as long as you're in school. You know, he also said to me, you'll never have to worry about a thing as long as you're in school. And when you're 6 years old, you hear that as, so I can get $5 for pizza lunch? One of my earliest memories was the rule that you don't wake up dad because he sleeps during the day. And it was the weirdest thing being 5, 6 years old and everybody else goes to sleep at night, but my father worked all night and he slept during the day. And then one day my sister came up to me and she just said, you know, we would play outside to not make noise in the house. And she said, Daddy got beat up. I snuck into his room, and it was the first time I saw my father, and his face was all mangled up. He had gotten jumped and robbed driving at night. What ended up happening was, in his cab, we put a big protective shield in between the driver's side and the passengers in the back. It was thick, like bulletproof thick, kind of the type of things you see in a cop car. For kids, we thought it was the coolest thing ever, because that cab also served as our family car. It took me a while to realize that, you know, it wasn't something fun, it wasn't something cute, and it became my first memories of anxiety. We all have anxieties, but not so many of us think about that moment. Like, what is our earliest memory of anxiety? I started dreaming of a life where my father wouldn't have to drive that car anymore. And when I got into spoken word poetry, slam poetry, hip hop, you know, in addition to doing it just to impress girls, I also did it to try to tell important stories that matter to me and the people that I love. So I did a poem about my father and his story, and I was originally going to play the video, but you know, the responsible adult I am, I didn't bring the right file. So in the great words of a political commentary, fuck it, we'll do it live. They told him the grass was greener, with an endless flood of possibilities, Katrina. Watch him drown him dead. Land confiscated by the local government, so he flies high in a jet plane. Plain clothes just exposed him to the harsh winters of life, and his wife won't know about the sweat soaked in the bank note sent home. Boy getting grown, he starts to groan. His stomach's rumbling. Hungry for a better life, now he's stumbling over foreign phonetics and those verb tenses. They laughing at his accent. It's not an accident, though, that his master's in economics isn't honored. Most economic for a father to hop his ass in a cab and never bother in getting out that car or his dreams. Memorize the route and collect the fare. It isn't fair when they say you don't belong here with your long beard and that towel around your head. Hear what was said. Soak in the hate. Can you relate? Life of an immigrant. Thank you. Now, a fellow MC and friend of mine, Noise, I think he captured it very well when he kind of described what it means to be an immigrant or a child of an immigrant like me. And he said, we were measured against standards of beauty and intelligence that were never our own. So the same freedoms unafforded by everyone, that meant home is never really home. We just accepted what's around us to survive and make do, much like animals in a zoo. And he referred to himself as a zoo baby, us having 1 foot in this world and 1 foot out. So I took my father's words and I pursued education to the point that when I finished university, I stayed in university, got another degree, and then started working in a school, and I became an elementary school teacher. Here's me in a previous life. Fun fact, the lovely lady in green was actually in my class in the first grade. So we just kind of came up together in a wonderful neighborhood of Rexdale. And I did this for a couple of years, and at the same time, I fell in love with spoken word art, I fell in love with hip-hop music, and I pursued the arts after school. And I got involved in different things, and every time I did stuff, I told different stories, and mainly the priority of telling the stories was to honor those who didn't have a voice, mainly my mom and my dad. This is the only known picture of both of them smiling. My assumptions are my sister threatened them and said, listen, we need one nice picture of you guys, let's make it happen. As I started doing art, I started putting myself up on YouTube, and I never thought anything of it. I've never seen anybody that looks like me in the public forum creating art, doing anything in North America. But organically, it started, picking up, and it started getting a lot of traction. And eventually, my students started recognizing me, and they started saying, Mr. Singh makes songs on the internet, and he swears. But everybody seemed okay with it, and I lived this double life. I assumed I was Bruce Wayne and Batman, but really it was just Mr. Singh and Humble the Poet. And eventually, somebody came up to me, a producer, and said, hey, I can change your life. You can leave your job, sign this contract, and we'll take it to the moon. Let's do it. So I asked my father, and I said, Dad, I want to leave teaching. I want to leave the safety and security of my 9-to-5 job, and I want to pursue this art. And this was the advice he gave me. As you can see, you see where I get my poetry from. And it was bittersweet words, because this actually happened in 2010, and in 2009, his father passed away, and I think it really had a big impact on him, where he kind of realizes, all right, as an immigrant, I'm working towards something, but at the end of the day, we're all going to end up in the same place. So, do as you please. And he said to me, every artist that I see goes nuts. And I said, Pops, if I don't do this, I'm going to go nuts. And I got his blessing, and I got his support, which is translated in him just leaving me alone. So I lived the life. I lived the life, and I thought this record contract was coming, and I performed, and I hit stages, and anybody that called me for a gig, I did it, and nobody was paying me, but it didn't matter because this record deal was coming any moment. I'd signed the paperwork, the check was in the mail, being processed 6 to 8 business weeks or whatever they say. And, I just live off my credit cards, and I'll live off my line of credit. I've done that before. When they hired me as a teacher, I spent the whole summer racking up credit card debt and then taking 6 months to pay it off. This will be no different. But this time I racked up about $80,000 of debt. And then the record deal never came. So at the end of 2011, I hit this point where I realized I had 3 choices. We all have 3 choices when shit hits the fan. Choice number 1 is we do nothing and watch things get worse. This is pretty much what we're doing with our environment right now. Number 2, we pray for a miracle, whether it's the cavalry, winning the lottery. When it comes to the environment, we're really hoping science will figure it out, or God. Or number 3, what we all have always had the power to do, scale back, be uncomfortable, make the necessary changes to improve the situation. Probably the most sustainable way we can deal with all this stuff. I chose number 1. That didn't work out very well. Then I spent 2 weeks in bed with a concoction of muscle relaxers, NyQuil, and a whole bunch of other unmentionables, really praying for someone to just come in and be like, oh, here's $82,000. We'll just get rid of the debt and here's something else just because you're cute. That didn't work out really as much. I realized nobody was coming to save me. And it took me a while to realize I had to do number 3. And what it was some more great lines from a great poet, artist, writer by the name of J. Cole. And what it was is I was playing music all the time when I was lying in bed, feeling sorry for myself, blaming the people that lied to me, blaming my friends for not warning me, blaming the world for not maintaining the contract that if I'm a good person, people will be good to me. Because that's how it's supposed to go, right? Like, if there's a lion in the cage, if I don't bite him, he won't bite me. This is my way of viewing the world at this time. And then I heard these J. Cole lyrics. Tell me, what do you do just when you're on your last dollar and the stress from this mess you're in makes your ass want to holler? Do you fold, grow bitter, and grow cold? Exactly what I did. No longer fighting, now the only thing you grow is old? Or do you flip that fucking dollar to a dream while the scholar or a fiend watch this pawn become a king? And I don't want to just say it was these lyrics that got me out of bed and got me to work. It was these lyrics that probably, in combination with the 2 weeks in bed, the time I needed to heal, got me out of bed. And what I realized was, okay, I can't read any more Tumblr quotes. I can't no longer point fingers at anybody else, because when you assign blame, you give power. Our problems are not our fault, but our problems are our responsibility. And when we take responsibility, we have power. And the first thing I had to do, thank you. The first thing I had to do was take responsibility, and the second thing I had to do was admit I messed up. And I learned a really important lesson. There's a lot of strength in being vulnerable. There's a lot of strength in asking for help. You know, you might be surprised to know that a lot of young boys aren't raised with those ideas. You know, we're just told to put on a big smile, act like you're always on Instagram and everything is beautiful. Because they saw me perform at Lollapalooza, so like he must got it. They don't know that I paid my own way and paid to get on stage and covered all my expenses while I was there. So everybody else thought everything was doing well, and then the first time somebody asked me, and I said, no, I'm not doing well. I'm broke. I have no prospects. I don't know how to earn money as an artist, and I owe a lot of people that I care about money, not just the banks. And I called each and every one of them and said, look, I don't have your money, but I don't want to be that guy who avoids you. I'm going to figure this out. You're not going to see me taking trips to Cancun in the meantime. You're not going to see me with any new clothes or going shopping. I will figure this out, and I will give you that money. And the first thing I had to do was ask for help, and that came through writing and sharing. And I couldn't be resentful towards all these Tumblr quotes if I didn't have anything better to offer. So I just started writing, and and then eventually I started sharing it on Facebook, and that scared the shit out of me too, because who wants to share their problems? That's not what social media is for. Social media is to let everybody know it's all gravy all the time, baby. And I started sharing my stuff, and then instantly people started saying, wow, it's like you live in my head. Wow, I needed to hear this today. Wow, you're telling my story. And that helped me realize we're all in the same boat. And then eventually one comment started bubbling up to the top, and that comment was, you should write a book. I didn't write a book, because apparently writing a book is very hard. Instead, I took what I had written every single day for about a year and a half, and I said, I'll put this together. But I replied to that first comment and said, I don't know how to write a book. You know, in life, we're either making progress or we're making excuses. I'm really good at the latter. I'm like, I don't know how to write a book. I don't want to sign with a publisher. They're going to rob me like everybody else. And somebody said, well, here's some videos on Adobe InDesign. Here's a website called Amazon CreateSpace for independent publishing, and you don't even have to carry any books in your basement. They'll just print them when people order them. I've proofread my professor's thesis. I'll proofread your stuff. Just send it over when you're ready. And the community helped me do that. And I said, I don't have any money. Not like I knew what people needed money for in the first place, to make a book. And they said, hey, you ever heard of Kickstarter? You ever heard of Indiegogo? So what I did was I said, hey, if you guys want me to do this, and swallowing my pride, I said, I need help. So I started an Indiegogo campaign. And I put it out there and I said, be a part of Unlearn. And I said, I'll make some music and I'll put a book together. And 305 of you helped me raise $26,129. Canadian. That's like 18 bucks American. And I made up the number. I didn't even know how much money you need to make a book. And I had a list of a lot of fantastic people. Kareem Lakhani is a Harvard professor who I'd never met in my life. He gave me $1,500. Nadia Simi, who's my ex-girlfriend, dumped me 5 years before, still believed in me. A lot of friends taught me stuff. At the end, you see my parents. They also contributed. A lot of just great people. About 50% of that list were people I had never met. And this list is my biggest contributors who gave me 500 and above. And it got a couple of covers, but at the end of the day, my baby was born. This is the part of the talk where I'm supposed to tell you that, well, I'm not supposed to tell you that I forgot to tell my publishers about this talk, so they didn't send too many copies of the book here. So I'll just take a picture of this right now and find it on Amazon later. But the book is full of many just different quotes. And it's just, I don't do Tumblr quotes, I do humbler quotes. And, instead of comparing yourself with others, try connecting yourself with others. And, expectations are a bigger enemy to our happiness than our circumstances. And I just wrote things that made me feel better. And if it made me feel better, I already realized through everybody else's stories that we're all in the same boat dealing with the same things. We all have anxiety about our future. We all have regrets about our past. We all have expectations that don't get met, thus making us unhappy, and none of us are spending enough time in the present. It's pretty simple. Simple isn't the same thing as easy. And coming up with these different quotes and these different ideas has really connected with the book, and the book has done super well. It's become a bestseller in a lot of different countries, and I want to thank you all for making that happen. Oh, look, here's the book again. And from there, I started connecting with other people and learning about the world of YouTube. And one of my best friends, Lily Singh, we made some music together, and we had a lot of fun. We did another really cool music video together. And then she decided to take me on a world tour. I went all around the world. And then to commemorate the world tour, I got a world tour tattoo where I let everybody, oh, wrong leg. I let everybody who was on tour with me tattoo a paper airplane with a message, so I actually have the word Valley Girl on my leg now. And then one day, an ad agency came knocking and said, we want you to help us celebrate the 150th birthday of Canada with Apple. And I got an Apple commercial. Check it out. We see ourselves in the stories of others and free ourselves writing our own. There is no you and me, only we. Thank you. And more important than just simply having a great piece of art that came out and getting recognition on such a large scale, I got paid. Oh, I got paid. And then I started meeting a lot of cool people and getting to do a lot of cool things and hanging out with different celebrities on YouTube. I did a little bit of modeling. I worked with a lot of cool people. I had the head rap gang with Alicia Keys. I had a brief relationship that didn't end very well. I met a lot of really cool people, had a lot of awesome, amazing experiences. I got to see a white rhino before he passed away. Go Raptors, we finally did it. And everything just seemed on the come up. I was meeting all the super cool people, and I got pictures with all of them. I even made Kanye West kind of smile. I got to sit on a private jet. I got to meet politicians. Somebody made a balloon out of me. Somebody showed me what my future is going to look like. Little kids dressed as me for Halloween. It got to my head. I did offensive things. And then eventually I became a personal trainer. Here's my first client. I'm not sure what she's doing. I got to go to royal weddings and take a picture with all the cool people that I met, and one person I didn't take a picture with was with Manpreet. Manpreet was there since day one, showed up to every single show, but I don't have a picture with Manpreet. But what I do have is a screenshot of our last conversation. I didn't make time for Manpreet, because Manpreet couldn't do much for me. I wouldn't get no likes if I took pictures with Manpreet. He'd always ask me when I'd be in town, and I'd tell him I'd let him know when I was, and I didn't let him know. And this conversation's happening over the summer. As you can see, July 13th. He's congratulating me for a video that dropped. And I said I'll be back on July 20th, and I'll let him know when I'm back, which I didn't. By the end of August, Manpreet fell into a coma, and by the middle of September, Manpreet died. And then at that point, I had this moment where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And who am I doing this for? Was this about getting myself out of a hole? Because what's taking a picture with The Rock going to do to get me out of a hole that I got out of 4 years prior? And I also realized that, was I even doing anything for my dad anymore? At this point, he retired. He wasn't driving a cab no more. I didn't have to worry about it no more. And even in his last 5 years, he was driving during the day, just doing it for fun, just to stay out of the house. And that's when I realized something. As ambitious as we want to be, if we only focus on ourselves, let's not be surprised if we end up by ourselves. I was chasing a lot of things, and I was manifesting them successfully. I realized, like most people, if you really focus on it, you can get it. We can visualize it, but the one thing we don't successfully do is emotionalize it. We're not chasing the thing. We're not chasing the $1 million. We're not chasing getting out of debt. We are chasing a feeling. And I was addicted to the feeling of what I was going to get when I won. That final victory, that final fuck you to the racist people that attacked my father, that final fuck you to all the people that betrayed me and lied to me. But every time I hit a certain level, I saw a different level. I saw a new peak to that mountain, so I continued chasing it. And I became addicted. And I was addicted because I had a chip on my shoulder that I had to prove people wrong. And I realized that wasn't healthy. And it doesn't matter whether we're addicted to our phones, whether we're addicted to a substance, whether we're addicted to success. We can't simply go cold turkey. And we have to realize that our addictions are actually isolating us from other people. The opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's human connection. And that's when things had to change. I took that conversation of me and Manpreet, and I have it framed up in my office now to remind me. And I focus on something else, seva. What is seva for the 99.99 people here that don't speak Punjabi, except for that one person right there? Seva is this cute little kid. He's not mine. Seva means service. And as a kid, I was taught seva means cleaning the shoes of people at temple, serving food, helping the homeless. Service is service. And then I realized that I'm here to play a part. I'm here to play a part because I'm a part of the grand scheme of things. So then I started focusing on not showing my parents that I made a lot of money. Instead, I took my parents on trips. I took them to Kenya. And the beautiful thing about this trip to Kenya is our tour guide who lived in the village. This is 2016. 2 years ago, he got his visa to the States and he moved to Washington, D.C. And randomly last week, he hit me up and said, I moved to Eugene, Oregon. And he said he's going to be here in about an hour, so I'm so excited to see him. My parents were part of the sacrifice generation. I'm part of the I'm going to prove your sacrifices were worth it generation. And pain and hurt and the chips on our shoulders and that visual of my father getting beat up was definitely fuel to make me work hard, and I wanted to prove everybody wrong, but it's not sustainable. Let's focus on proving people right. There were people that gave me couches to sleep on. There were wonderful people like you who sat in this audience and paid attention to me. There are fantastic people around the world who will give us a chance and who are opening their hearts, their homes, their minds, their wallets to us. Let's focus on proving them right. And let's not wear our trust issues like a badge of honor. Let's not wear our pain and compare our pains to other people and say, we've been through worse than you, you don't know. Instead, I challenge you guys with an important question. How can you use your pain to help others? In South Asian culture, there aren't too many artists or entrepreneurs, especially in North America. That's probably because when we were back home, we were dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff and we didn't have a chance to explore our artistic sides and creativity because it takes time and a little bit of luxury. And I am one of the few, maybe a handful of artists like Lily Singh, like Rupi Kaur, Nab, Just Rain, a couple of other really cool creative people that have found a way to kind of bridge the gap and be creative and bring ideas to this world. And I want to ensure that I'm able to do that to bring value to other people's lives, because when I bring value to other people's lives, it will spread exponentially. And I want to make sure that all the pain that I've experienced will be used to help others, not simply feed myself that addictive potato chip called self-pity. How can you add beauty and value to the world? I'm a slashy, whatever that means. I'm an author, I'm a rapper, I'm a spoken word poet. I plugged the book already, you heard some spoken word. I direct my own music videos that bring ideas to life, because we all have to bring ideas to life. I actually became an artist because I saw on Oprah that if you don't scratch your creative itch, you can get ulcers. That's literally how I started. And it's been an amazing journey for me, and I'm grateful for it. And I want to challenge everybody today, everybody listening, everybody that's going to see this later, and everybody that's going to talk about this for generations. I challenge everybody to decide what they can bring to life. To be an artist is to bring new ideas into the world. And you will always encounter resistance from people who are afraid and people who say, no, 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 what we did yesterday is the way we should continue tomorrow. And it's always going to be a little tug of war. And that's okay. That's really okay. Don't let that get down on you. Just have fun on the journey. Enjoy the rainbow. Bring things to life. So, with the money that the book has brought me, I just create more art. And, I'm very happy to say I direct my own music videos. I created an awesome music video. And normally I end this talk by showing you guys the music video and just absorbing the applause. But today, even though we're not fully prepared, I'm going to try to perform it for y'all. Feel free to stand up and dance. Feel free to give me the most spectacular light show that's ever been done in the history of light shows. This is a track that I did called I Will. This video took me 6 months, but I'm very proud to say everybody in front and behind the camera is from the wonderful city of Toronto. You'll also see my dad. Too well you couldn't. Oh, this one's got the long intro. Watch the camera. The camera doesn't cancel here. Watch this camera. It's a one shot. You guys ever see Contact? When she chases for the medicine cabinet? We did the same thing right here. To what you couldn't handle half of me. I do this naturally. These bastards after me. I make them casually. See her go casually, and her go casually. Then weekends at the beach, we stand up on the sheets. My man up on the beat. We rapping honestly. Believe me, music be the movement, get you on your feet, and believe me gladly. Would everybody be sounding like Sierra, baby daddy? Go. Hey, but yes I will. Hey, and I won't play no games. And I don't play no games. I know you won't. But yes I will. Hey, and I won't play no games. And I won't play no games. Yo, I roll with haters straight as concubines. Nine in that order, I'm older. Told them I'm older, you cross the line. I'm foreign soil, seeking asylum while I'm trying to be an islander. Claim denied, the portal like shine. Guess that I am xenophobic, a little stoic, rolling solo, screaming YOLO, going ham with whatever acronyms I need to quote to keep afloat atop the mainstream. So shallow, but your battles can't battle the current, let alone the cattle herded by. Hand me down ideas, sour, chunky, and expired. Power up within, bring a monkey wrench, it's time to ride. Junkie for that funky shit, bumping up the strong, got the punk holy strong, my power sober, all you cowards love knowledge. Hey, yes I will. And I won't play no games. And I don't play no games. I know you won't. But yes I will. Hey, and I won't play no games. And I won't play no games. Hey, yo, son of a cabbie rapper, one hungry happy camper, no one among me matters. I come to run the chatter. Yo, not a sucker among us. I know they hopes and secrets, and they gon' keep deceiving. And they gon' start achieving, and they awkward even, and make it awkward even. And they gon' mob and weekend. These suckers soft and weak, man, and I don't take a weekend. I don't get vacation. I put bullshit, cause I'm an effing bullet, running by the side of speed, running like the sound of greed. Go on, get down to your knees, press your hands and pray for these waste men. Waste you, thinking that they... Can you sing it? But yes I will, yes I will. I won't play no games. I don't play no games. Put your hands up. Hey, yes I will, yes I will. I won't play no games. I won't play no games. I know you won't, no you won't. Yes I will. Hey, and I won't play no games. I won't play no games. Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of Humble the Poet. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys for your time.